Welcome back to my channel. Tonight, we are stepping into the shadows of a story that was never meant to be told, a story hidden beneath years of chaos, broken promises, and whispered regrets. For over a decade, we believed we had seen every angle of the Brown family saga. We thought the confessionals, the family meetings, the tears, the explosions gave us the full picture. But we were wrong. Because the most powerful witness of all wasn't sitting on a couch doing interview segments. She wasn't a wife battling for scraps of affection. She wasn't a teenager rebelling against a fractured home. She was a child. A quiet observer with wide eyes, a tender heart, and a front-row seat to every crack forming in the Brown family empire. This is the story of Kody Brown's secret diary. We open with Kody as a little girl, the bright spark in Christine's world, her laughter echoing through the hallways of the Lehigh, Utah home like pure sunlight. A child untouched by the storm brewing around her. We see the dancing, the twirling, the pure joy. But slowly the footage flickers. The light dims. The vibrant little girl grows quieter. More aware. More cautious. The innocence in her eyes slowly replaced by something deeper. The look of a child who sees far more than the adults realize. Because children notice everything. The whispers behind closed doors. The tension at dinner tables. The favoritism. The hierarchy. The pain. And sometimes they write it down. Our insiders, people who've been close enough to see the emotional earthquakes inside this family, have revealed a theory so explosive it has Kody and Robyn living in a state of absolute panic. A small notebook, buried in the boxes Christine packed when she fled Arizona, rediscovered after years of dust settling on old wounds. Kody's childhood diary. Not a dramatic manifesto. Not a weapon written with intent. Just the simple, honest truth, recorded by a child who didn't understand she was documenting an empire's collapse. When Christine opened that diary, flipping through its pages on an ordinary afternoon, what she found shattered her heart and validated every doubt, every sleepless night, every tear she ever choked back in secrecy. Because inside those pages was the one thing Kody and Robyn never expected to face, a pure, unfiltered record of how their behavior looked through the eyes of a child.
No excuses. No spin. No dramatic editing.
Just truth. Imagine this, an entry dated shortly after the move to Las Vegas. A 7-year-old Kody writes, "Mommy made lasagna. It's my favorite. Daddy didn't eat it." Later I heard him on the phone laughing with Rob and Andy. He said Mommy's food isn't good, and he wants the good food at her house. Mommy went to her room and didn't come out. A court might call it trivial. A lawyer might call it irrelevant. But to the world, it's cruelty in its rawest form. Proof that Christine wasn't imagining the disrespect. Proof that Kody's loyalty, even back then, had already shifted away from his wife and toward the woman he would eventually crown as the favorite. And then, fast forward a couple of years. A holiday gathering filmed for the show. Forced smiles. Pretend unity. Manufactured joy. But Kody's diary tells what the cameras never caught. We played at Janelle Auntie's house. Some of my brothers left their shoes near the door. Robyn Auntie made a yucky face. She took Daddy into the kitchen and whispered that Janelle Auntie's kids are messy. Daddy said he would talk to her. I felt sad. This isn't a petty complaint from a child. It is a devastating glimpse into the internal sabotage happening behind the scenes. The unifier of the family. The woman who claimed she only wanted peace, quietly poisoning Kody against his other children and their mothers. Planting seeds. Drawing invisible lines. Creating a hierarchy where her kids sat on top. Piece by piece, page by page, Kody's diary isn't just a scrapbook of childhood moments. It's a timeline. A map. A witness statement to the emotional fractures that destroyed the Brown family long before Christine ever packed her car. And according to insiders, this diary may be the one thing Kody and Robyn cannot outrun. Because when truth comes from the eyes of a child, it hits different. It hits deeper. It hits in a way no adult accusation ever could. It's a quiet, almost invisible kind of sabotage. The kind that slips through the cracks of adult conversations but lodges itself deep inside the heart of a child. And because it was witnessed, absorbed, and recorded by someone who only ever wanted peace, its impact becomes undeniable. This is the part of Truly's diary that transforms the story from heartbreaking to devastating. Because here, we finally see the truth. Robyn wasn't just passively receiving Kody's favoritism. She was actively shaping it, planting seeds, drawing lines, pulling strings, ensuring her branch of the family tree grew lush while everyone else's withered. But nothing hits harder than the entries about birthdays, milestones, and moments that should have belonged to Truly alone. Think back to that infamous moment when Isabel had major back surgery, life-changing, terrifying surgery, and her father wasn't there. Not because he couldn't be, but because he wouldn't be. Because COVID protocols magically mattered only when it came to Christine, Janelle, and their children, never when Robyn wanted something. And Truly's diary would prove it wasn't an isolated moment. It was a pattern. Imagine the page labeled simply, "My 8th birthday. Mommy made me a cake. All my brothers and sisters sang. We waited for Daddy to call. Mommy said he was very busy. He didn't call. One line, one wound. Then the next day, Daddy came with Robyn Auntie. He gave me a small hug. He said Ariella got a big toy because she was very good in dance class. The toy was bigger than my birthday cake." This isn't bad scheduling. This is emotional triage, where Truly is always the lowest priority. A father who forgets his own daughter's birthday, but the next day is showering another child, his favorite wife's child, with gifts for simply attending a dance class. It doesn't take a psychologist to decode the message. You are an obligation. They are a celebration. And when you multiply that message by 10 years, you begin to see the scar tissue forming. But the entries don't stop with heartbreak. They move into territory far darker, into the battlefield known as Coyote Pass. The land that was supposed to unite the Browns became the monument to their destruction. We all saw the fights about the pond, the screaming, the defensiveness, the bizarre claim that it was a functional part of the property. But Truly's diary would reveal the truth the cameras never caught. We went to Coyote Pass. I wanted to splash in the pond, but Daddy said no. Later I sat in Robyn Auntie's car. I heard her tell Daddy that the pond is for Solomon and Ariella to look at. She said if all of us other kids go in it, we will make it dirty. Daddy said he will make sure we stay away. And just like that, the illusion shatters. Because the pond wasn't the issue. The ownership was. It wasn't family land. It was Robyn and Kody's kingdom, where Christine, Janelle, and Mary's kids were treated like unwanted intruders. Each diary entry is a small heartbreak, but together, they form a documented timeline of emotional abandonment. A timeline that supports everything Christine ever said. She wasn't exaggerating. She wasn't being dramatic. She wasn't jealous. If anything, she was understating her suffering. Now picture Truly, a little older, maybe 10 or 11. Old enough to understand pain, but too young to understand why her parents were so broken. The entry reads, "Mommy cried in her room today. Daddy left. I needed help with homework, so I called him. He answered, and he was laughing really loud. I heard Robyn Auntie. They were watching a movie. He sounded happy. I said, never mind, and hung up. One sentence, never mind. And the entire tragedy of their marriage snaps into focus. While Christine cried alone in a bedroom, Kody was laughing in another woman's home. The real home he had chosen long before the cameras caught on. So why is this diary so dangerous? Because unlike interviews, unlike court filings, unlike tell-all books, you cannot argue with the observations of a child. A child has no agenda. A child has no strategy. A child has no reason to fabricate the truth. Her innocence is the evidence. This diary, if real, wouldn't just challenge Kody and Robyn's narrative. It would obliterate it. Everything they've sold to the world, their victimhood, their claims of being misunderstood, their cries for unity, exposed as a fiction. And now, according to this theory, Christine has this nuclear weapon in her hands. At first, she would be shattered. Validated, yes, but heartbroken that her youngest daughter had carried these memories silently. But then enters the one person who changed everything, David Woolley.
Calm.
Strategic. Protective. Loyal in all the ways Kody never was. When Christine shows him the diary, tearfully, hesitantly, David sees something else. Not just pain, but power. He sees leverage. He sees freedom. He sees the key to finally severing the last chains Kody still tries to hold over Christine and her children. And that's where this theory takes its most shocking turn. Christine and David, quietly, strategically, make a decision. A decision that could change everything. And now we reach the point in this theory where strategy turns into survival. Christine and David make a decision that is as cold as it is compassionate. They will not release the diary. They will not expose its pages to the public. They will not sacrifice Truly's emotional well-being for a moment of revenge, because doing that would destroy the very child they're trying to protect. But they will use it, not as a weapon fired in public, but as a shadow that hangs over Kody and Robyn's every move. A quiet war, a silent threat, a message whispered, not shouted. In an interview, a confessional, or a subtle line on the show, Christine could say, "There are things I know, things I have proof of, that explain exactly why I had to leave. And if those things ever came out, Kody and Robyn's reputations would never recover. For the sake of the children, I am keeping them private." She never says the word diary. She never mentions Truly. She doesn't need to, because Kody and Robyn would know. They would know exactly what she found, exactly what was said, exactly what was written down by a child who saw everything. The panic inside that $1 million mansion? Unimaginable. Robyn, whose entire identity depends on being seen as the gentle, misunderstood victim, would feel the walls closing in. She would remember every whisper, every sly comment, every moment she told Kody the other kids would ruin her peace, her home, her property. She would know the truth was out there, sitting in a notebook that could vaporize her reputation in seconds. And her reaction?
Pure, uncontrollable panic.
Just give her what she wants, Kody. Give her the land. Give her the money. Make it go away. Kody, a man ruled by pride, ego, and a pathological need to control, would suddenly find himself powerless. The one thing he cannot withstand is humiliation. And the diary represents a level of public destruction he could never recover from. Christine suddenly holds all the cards. Her full buyout of Coyote Pass. Her freedom from his public criticism. The end of his financial control. And the ability to dictate the terms of their separation. This isn't illegal. It isn't blackmail. It is leverage. Leverage in a war Kody started when he neglected his wife and emotionally abandoned his children. But here's where the theory becomes tragic. Because even the whisper of this diary's existence could detonate the Brown family from the inside. Imagine the pressure placed on Robyn's children, Dayton, Aurora, Brianna. Raised inside a bubble where their mother is the hero, where Christine and Janelle's kids are the problem, where Kody and Robyn are the misunderstood ones. If they learn that Truly, sweet, quiet Truly, wrote things describing their mother as manipulative or cruel, their loyalty would be weaponized, either by Kody and Robyn or by their own fear. They would feel forced to defend their mother's honor publicly, and that means calling Truly a liar, calling Christine a manipulator, calling the OG kids delusional. This would shatter whatever fragile bonds remain between the siblings. Because the older kids, Patton, Michaelty, Gwendolyn, Hunter, Garrison, Gabe, they know the truth. They lived the favoritism. They witnessed the cruelty. They felt the neglect. Truly's diary would not be a revelation to them. It would be a confirmation. The result? A permanent divide, possibly one that lasts a lifetime, with children forced to pick sides in a war they never asked for. The one big happy family Kody preached for years?
Gone.
Exposed as the lie it always was. And now Christine holds the most dangerous truth of all, a key that unlocks her future, but could destroy the possibility of future unity for her children. Every day she must ask herself, is my freedom worth the cost of their peace? Is my vindication worth the price of their pain? But the theory doesn't end there. Because now we enter the most explosive chapter yet. What happens inside the walls of Kody and Robyn's marriage when the truth becomes leverage? What happens when fear replaces loyalty? And what does Christine plan to do next? Give her the money, Kody. One can almost hear Robyn's voice cracking under the weight of panic. Give her the property. We have to bury this. Think of our children. Think of our reputation. But Kody Brown is not a man guided by logic. He is a man ruled by a colossal, fragile, volcanic ego, one that combusts the second he feels cornered. And being forced to comply? Being outplayed by Christine, the wife he dismissed, mocked, belittled, and underestimated? To him, that would be the ultimate humiliation. This is where the real fracture begins. Because while Robyn would be scrambling to protect the last shreds of their carefully curated reputation, Kody would be plotting revenge. He would want to fight.
To deny.
To smear. To turn Christine into the villain he needs her to be. He would fantasize about going public, calling her manipulative, accusing her of coaching the kids, even inventing stories about her past. Anything to flip the script. But Robyn? Robyn knows the truth. And the truth lives in Truly's handwriting. She knows those entries are real. She knows they are devastating. She knows one wrong move could collapse everything they built. So she would grab Kody by the shoulders and whisper through clenched teeth, "You can't fight this, Kody. They have proof. It's in a child's handwriting. If this goes public, we
are
ruined." For the first time in their marriage, Kody's pride and Robyn's fear would collide like tectonic plates, and the first crack in their once unified fortress would form. But let's imagine Robyn wins this internal war. Let's say Kody finally caves. Christine gets everything. Her full share of Coyote Pass, a lump sum payout large enough to guarantee her silence, and a binding agreement. Kody can never publicly trash her again. It is a total, undisputed victory for Christine Brown. She walks away financially free, emotionally free, spiritually free. But victory has a price. A dark, chilling price. Because Kody and Robyn would now live with something far more powerful than hate. Fear. A quiet, constant, suffocating fear of Christine. Every ding of a text message. Every unknown phone number. Every upcoming family event. Every small rumor online. In their minds, it could be the moment the diary drops. A cold war would begin between the households, silent, toxic, unending. A war not fought with words, but with dread. And the poison of that secret? It would seep into the children. This is where the tragedy deepens. The civil war of the Brown children. If word of the diary leaked, even a whisper, every Brown child would be forced to choose a side. Robyn's kids, Dayton, Aurora, Brianna, grew up in the bubble. To them, Kody and Robyn are warm, stable, loving. They know nothing of the neglect, the manipulation, the chaos outside those walls. To them, the diary would sound absurd. They defend their mother to the death. My mom would never say that. Truly must be confused. She's making it up.
She has to be.
Not out of malice, but out of loyalty. But the OG kids? Michael T., Aspen, Paydon, Logan, Hunter, Garrison, Gabe, Isabel, Gwendolyn, and even Savannah? They lived the slow collapse. They watched their mothers being erased. They felt their father drift away one visit at a time. To them, the diary wouldn't be a bombshell. It would be validation. A child's pure, unfiltered confirmation of everything they witnessed. They would rally behind Truly, not as an accuser, but as the historian of their trauma. And suddenly, the diary wouldn't be the only evidence. Gabe could recall the forgotten birthday call. Isabel could speak about her father choosing Robyn over her surgery. Paydon could tell the world about the conflict simmering behind closed doors. It would become the collective testimony of the Brown children. And that would be the point of no return. Team OG versus Team Robyn. A family split clean down the middle. Holidays destroyed. Weddings divided. Graduations turned into battlegrounds of loyalty. The dream of one big happy family dies here, officially, permanently. And at the center of this entire hurricane, Truly Brown. The child who never asked to be the evidence. A child's diary is a sacred world. A place for fears, dreams, observations, a world meant to be private. To weaponize it, even with the purest intentions, would fracture her sense of safety. If the diary became public, Truly would become a symbol, a headline, a talking point, a hero to some, a liar to others. Her pain would become entertainment. Her private thoughts, written in childhood innocence, would become the cornerstone of her family's downfall. Her mental health could be scarred forever. Would she ever trust again? Would she feel guilt for the chaos her words caused? Would she resent her mother for using her diary to win an adult war? These are consequences no child should bear. Which brings us to the darkest possibility yet. The lost pages, the nuclear codes. What if the diary contains more than favoritism and neglect? What if Truly overheard things she shouldn't have? Financial plans, early schemes to isolate the OG wives' conversations where Kody demeaned Janelle, Mary, even Kody Robyn speaking openly about wanting a monogamous life long before the family fell apart. If those entries exist, they are catastrophic. The kind of truth that could burn the entire Brown legacy to ashes. This might be why Kody holds back. Not out of mercy, but out of fear for the children's future. Because releasing everything would scorch the earth. Kody's last stand. If he sensed the diary was coming out, Kody might do what cornered narcissists do. Strike first. A televised rant. A paid interview. A meltdown on sister wives. He'd accuse Kody of poisoning the children. He'd claim manipulation, alienation, lies. He'd call the diary a fantasy crafted by a bitter ex. And worst of all, he would frame Truly, his own child, as a brainwashed pawn. That would be the final betrayal. The moment every Brown child sees the truth about their father. The diary theory feels real because it explains everything. Kody's confidence. Kody's desperation. The shift in power. The sudden silence on certain topics. But it leaves us with the ultimate moral dilemma. Should a child's diary ever be used as a weapon, even to injustice? The answer is heartbreaking. Because no matter how the story ends, the diary represents the quiet suffering of a little girl watching a family crumble. Her words, ink fading on soft pages, may hold more truth than every adult interview combined. And if those pages ever surface, they will not just expose a marriage. They will expose an entire kingdom of lies.